I'm really excited. What should I call you? Like, do people call you Jazz?
People call me Jazzy usually, or Jasmariah is my full name.
Jasmariah. Okay. Well, Jasmariah, I love it. I met her through a friend, and she's so cool, so inspirational, and I'm honored to have her not only be in Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2, but here as a speaker. Every time I speak to her, I feel so inspired of her journey. So, who's Jazz? Who's Jazzy? Jazzy is a writer who enjoys creativity and connection. She's a health advocate for autoimmune disease, heart disease, and genetic mutation. She is married with an 11-year-old boy and 2-year-old twin boys. She's the proud daughter of the high chief of her family's village in Samoa. She loves to spread kindness and compassion. As the owner of her brand, Vulnerable with Me, she encourages vulnerability by not just telling your story, but by feeling your story. And so, welcome to the screen.
Thank you. How to mourn a stranger. You all are probably as confused as I was during this experience. What if I told you that I cried endlessly and mourned someone I never met, someone I never heard, or someone I knew close to nothing about? I'm currently 30 years old, and at the age of 25, I found out that I was donor conceived through an Ancestry.com message that opened up a can of worms, or should I say, a can of sperm. At the time that I found out, I had 3 half siblings. Today, I know of 6. It felt as if my life was picked up, thrown in a tornado, and I wasn't home anymore, like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. I struggled with my identity. As I would look in the mirror, I would immediately look away. And with that, I struggled knowing that half of my features were from a complete stranger. I spent years upset at the donor for various reasons, one of them being that he refused to update medical information for my siblings and I. Late last year, at the age of 29, I was diagnosed with an aortic root aneurysm, something typically seen in someone ages 60 and older. This anomaly led me to finding out that I had a genetic mutation. So on November 3rd of 2023, I had an open heart surgery at the Texas Heart Institute away from my home in Utah because this procedure was rare. The sperm bank tested the donor's DNA and confirmed that this gene mutation that less than 1,000 people have in the United States was passed down to me by my donor. Earlier this year, in February, we were finally able to get updated medical information from the sperm bank that his family member had given. This revealed an intense family history of aortic aneurysms and heart attacks. With this, we also received notification that he passed away in 2021. I didn't know how to feel. My opportunity to ever know him was gone. So I was left with the puzzling question, how do I mourn a stranger? Why am I feeling emotions to mourn this stranger? I hate him. And yet I felt such a deep loss for him. Someone that I share half of my DNA with, someone that I know that we share talents and traits, and is the bond that links my siblings and I. The first step for me was to allow myself to feel every and any emotion that came forward. I allowed myself to feel the emotion rather than become the emotion. Compassion replaced my anger, and I began to see him as a human being. I wondered, was he struggling so bad in 1990 that sperm donation was his only way to make it through college or even eat? Was he afraid that when the sperm bank reached out to him to update medical information of what his family and friends may think of a decision that he made at 20 years old? Did he not realize the extent of his actions? That one day, several children would share his DNA and become curious. I wrote a lot of poems lashing out at the donor, filled with anger and frustration. But this year, after a search angel from a Facebook group helped me find him, I wrote a poem filled with compassion, love, and freedom. This poem is dedicated to donor 1180. How can I say bye when we never said hi? How can I say I'll miss you if it was empty before and after you? Thank you for my life. Without your donation, I wouldn't be alive. Donor 1180, the biological father I'll never know. Through me, your DNA forever flows, and that's as far as our physical connection will ever go. This experience made me realize that anger was holding me back from seeing anything else. So I challenge you to look in your life and see, where are you holding anger? Who is it with? What would it feel like to comfort or release that anger from your body, heart, or mind? How to mourn a stranger is sometimes stepping into that stranger's shoes. Understanding someone's story is not validating their actions. It's also validating my own emotions of hurt, that someone who could give half of their DNA to make me ultimately wanted nothing to do with me, lacked courtesy, and gave me a life-threatening medical condition. But here I am before you today, grateful. Because of him, I get to be here with you today on this incredible earth. I get to experience the human experience. Even though my creation was unconventional, it's magical. I have siblings that I love. So honestly, thank you, Ryan. I forgive you, Ryan. And I truly hope that you are resting in peace.
Wow. That is so powerful. Like,
Thank you.
so beautiful. 1180. How did you learn his name was Ryan?
A search angel in a Facebook group actually helped me find his identity.
Wow.
And that's how I found out he had his own son, and his son has shared so many things with me, like his taste in music, that he also wrote poetry the way that I write it. And it's been beautiful that even though he's not physically here, I still get to learn about him and see the similarities of my identity.
That's so beautiful. And I think what's really powerful, well, there's a lot of really powerful things about everything you just said, but the power of forgiveness.
Hmm.
It allows us to walk around so much lighter.
Yes.
What advice do you have for someone who's holding on to that anger and grudge, who's like having trouble getting to that place of forgiveness?
I would say, what is this anger doing for you? How is this anger affecting your daily life? And then really looking at, if I were to release this anger, what would that look like for my life? How would it positively affect me? Because anger is such a strong negative emotion. I feel like once we finally release that anger, and sometimes it's not even releasing the anger, but maybe the anger needs to be understood or it needs to be comforted. But just understanding what your anger needs and going forward and doing what's best for you.
Understanding what your anger needs. I love that.